Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we're talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. You guys know why you were here. Today we're talking, I want to talk about a couple of things. One, Destiny has an interview tonight with Crystal Jordan, Crystal XOXO from Rolling Out. You guys know I've referenced a few of her articles, especially as it pertains to Love and Marriage Huntsville, because she had one in November where basically she said that Mel is a marketing genius for using her pain for profit of being cheated on. That actually is a true, statement that was in her article, you guys. But nonetheless, she has an interview tonight with Destiny on her platform at 7. And my question is, of everyone in the cast, how is Destiny getting booked for all these interviews, you guys? Like, I feel like she's done the most press out of everyone. And I feel like, she's not even like what Carlos King likes to say is quote unquote the core six. So how are all these interviews and podcasts and things happening at number one? And number two, there's been so much inconsistencies in several of these interviews. She's saying one thing and another, and then these timelines are off versus what she's saying in these interviews versus the show. And then she went from saying she's never going to discuss her ex-husband, LeBaric, to now putting out there in interviews implying that something nefarious is going on between LeBaric and Melody Cherie Rogers is like some sort of dig. And I just don't understand. I have no clue what she's promoting. Is Madani reopening? Like what is there to promote at this point? Because I feel like this 15-year situationship with Moses isn't really the storyline that people think it is. It's rather boring and repetitive. And were you even in the last episode? You weren't. You definitely weren't at Nell's party, right? So I just don't understand. Like, you're really just back on the show to promote this situationship to a man who's now married to somebody else, not named you. And then, furthermore, you are then back to bash Mel and bash Mel supporters, right? That's your storyline. But you're not telling anybody what you have going on. And everybody that has done interviews up until this point over the past couple of seasons have basically exposed that they've helped you out financially, that they've been giving you money all this time, right? So I'm just a little confused there, right? And then also I wanted to talk about one thing that was mentioned, well, lack thereof, I should say, in the Messy Mondays with Carlos King and Dr. Heavenly. There wasn't really much of substance to talk about because it seems that Carlos King is just so removed from the show, Love and Marriage Huntsville, and only wants to discuss certain topics as it pertains to Love and Marriage Huntsville, i.e. topics that don't involve Melody Cherie Rogers. He, passes off the buck to Dr. Heavenly to do that. So Dr. Heavenly obviously is noticing, and what I've pointed out, and several other people have pointed out, that Mel is MIA from the show this season, you guys, right? And then I find it interesting, Dr. Heavenly, she is giving Mel all this power, calling her executive producer, calling all these things that she can insert herself or in all these episodes. And I don't think Dr. Heavenly's watched every episode this season, because there definitely was an episode where there was no Mel at all. She was being discussed in the episode, but there was no Mel in the episode. So I don't know what executive producer power Mel has, because if you were the executive producer, wouldn't you be in the show as much as possible? Like Carlos King has inserted himself in 3 episodes thus far this season. Like, make it make sense. But basically her point was she can see that Mel is being edited out of scenes, and she thinks that this has something to do with Martell and the case with the Revenge P. But my thing is, why would Mel be punished and sidelined for that, right? Why would she be in trouble if Martell is the perpetrator, if Martell is the one who is, responsible for what has taken place in regards to this Revenge P? He is the one who got arrested. He is the one with the conviction. And so Dr. Heavenly at Post, she was like, okay, are they not, is Martell and Mel, not allowed to film together? Are they not allowed to be in the same episode together? And then that's when Carlos King woke up from his slumber, woke up from the nap, and said, oh, no, right? That Mel and Martell can be in the same episode, that's fine, but as of now, they have not been in the same scenes this season, right? But nonetheless, it's still not a good look overall, because it looks like you're showing favoritism to Martell. Because technically speaking, Martell has been featured a lot more than Mel has, right? And he was not in this last episode, right? And so then Dr. Heavenly's making a joke, and she's like, well, I'm just trying to figure out what the pay situation is. Are they still getting paid every episode or per episode or whatever? And then Carlos King starts laughing. But I don't think that's funny, right? But then he tries to put in there, oh, well, I don't discuss, you know, people's pay and people's contracts and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, really, Carlos? Really? Right? Because you really didn't say much. You kind of did like a partial denial, but not really, of when Dr. Heavenly threw out there winner exposing that there was an alleged $2,500 an episode that people were making, or up to. You didn't really give a good response to that either, right? But this, it's weird, you know, how hard in the paint Carlos King is still going for Martell. Like, there's been so many outbursts Martell has had over the years. Martell has, like, flat out told, you know, Carlos King in one of his outbursts to just go ahead and fire him. And he knows he'll be getting a call from him and all of these things, and nothing happens. He still is protected, you guys. Meanwhile, Melody Sheree Rogers is giving the mute challenge to the show, and she's being punished for it, right? But literally, Martell can call the show nonsense, can say that the production people are forcing him to buy flowers for his ex-wife, that production is feeding him lines to tell his ex-wife that they are all acting in scenes, that they are paid actors for a reality show, that everything is scripted and fake and phony for entertainment purposes, and all of these things. And Martell's reward is more screen time, you guys. Martell's reward is bringing on every alleged rumor female tryst in his past or potentially present to make him look like some sort of Casanova. And I just needed to make it make sense. I just needed to understand as to why Carlos King has zero smoke for Martell, and why somebody who is convicted of this Revenge P case and has, you know, and then after gets arrested, gets to book a Tasha K interview, right? Like of all the things, right? And put out even more lies and more disparaging things on a larger platform to paint Melody Sheree as an ABUSER, and it's crickets, you guys. It's absolute crickets. And Carlos King's like, yeah, well, Martell, he's going to be back the next episode, so don't miss it, and all these things. And I'm like, why are we going down with the ship that is Martell? The show is sinking like the Titanic. Like Nene says, is that the number? Like Phaedra says, I am not going to be a part of a show that is a sinking ship, right? And it seems that Carlos King just doesn't care. He does not care at all. He is all about the new show that is Mel's original idea. He is promoting that, and he could care less about all of the things that is a disaster with Love and Marriage Huntsville, you guys. But this rationale of just Mel not being featured on the show, it is a huge mistake. And this is what I mean when I say people need to take out their personal relationships with these reality stars, because it damages what happens on the show. If you are allowing your personal relationships to dictate how much screen time somebody is getting, and you don't care if it's good or bad for the show because you can't let go of your personal hatred and or jealousy of somebody, it's not good for the show, right? This was the same thing that happened with Candy, right? Where he got to a point where he was sick of all the success that Candy was getting, and then out of nowhere, like, she's getting this edit, right? That was just completely awful. And then, of course, we have, you know, what ultimately happened season 9 that just blew up everything, right? But again, you know, and then the passive aggressiveness with Mariah, right? Who everybody compares to Mel, right? Of having this show, having this idea, and having a cast, once the cameras start rolling, turn on her. And really making her the issue and trying multiple times to get her off the show. And now it's at the point where Mel's barely on the show, right? But the show is not going to survive with all of these antics that are currently taking place as we speak.
And I just have no idea, you know, there is 0 point at this point of the Messy Mondays, of these interviews after the episode on Saturdays, if the right people aren't even going to promote the show that are supposed to be a part of the main cast, number one. And number two, if you're ignoring the show and just talking about nonsensical things, like you only want to discuss, you know, this Latricia and Ken situation and putting out feelers about Latricia's husband, and then you want to talk extensively about the Sunny, Moses, and Destiny situation, and but you are on the mute challenge as it pertains to Martell and Mel, but you will interject in the event that it looks like Martell is not being represented enough. And I just need it to make sense, right? But yet you're the same person who, you know, said, if you say this or say that, you know, you're a hater, right? But the things that you're not saying is also making you look like a hater, Carlos. And I just don't understand what you think this is going to achieve positively if you keep saying this is an ensemble cast, the show is not one person, but it is clear you are singling out specific people from the show in order to push a certain agenda, and it's backfiring, it's garnering lots of backlash, and it is garnering several people tuning out of the show. And you have done nothing to try to salvage it. You have done nothing to try to fix it. And it's very concerning, and it's very weird behavior, right? So I'm still trying to get to the bottom of this. Like I said, I don't know what the point of Messy Mondays is anymore if we're not really getting to the mess and we're not really talking about anything of substance, and you have more passion and energy for Bravo shows and your new show debuting in a couple of weeks than you do with the current fire that is happening with Love and Marriage Huntsville. And there seems to be no intervention of any sort. It's like you don't care if the show gets canceled. You don't care if the show goes down. But what about all the alleged promises that you made all these other cast members a part of the quote-unquote Core 6 that were supposed to be superstars? What happened to all of that, right? So while you're busy thinking that you're doing harm to Mel and punishing Mel when Martell's the one who's convicted, when Martell's the one that's doing all of these things, and you have an active lawsuit, class action lawsuit against the network and one of your Core 6 cast members, and you have all these arrests that are taking place with several of the cast members and relatives of the cast members, and you are on the mute challenge, and you're making jokes of people calling the show Love and Marriage After Lockup. Like, it's not funny, right? But you don't care because you're pissed that your way of doing things isn't working. So instead you want to pivot to other shows and promote them and completely run away when the house is on fire. And that's not how this works. You need to be taking accountability because this is all your brainchild, right? Oh, now all of a sudden it's Mel's brainchild when the show is failing, but when the show is successful, you're the creator and executive producer. But you are still the executive producer as we speak, and the show is still a train wreck, you guys. So there is that. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.